November 6th, 2025. The government shutdown continues, and my portfolio is red. Red almost across the board. There's a couple highlights. WBD, LB, Landbridge, which holds West Texas, land, which is very popular with uh, Bitcoin miners and AI data centers. And then the one thing that is surprising but is exciting is ASST. This is a Bitcoin treasury stock. And it's on a red day like today, it's up 1%. The stock is up 1%. The calls are, of course, all over the place, but the stock is up 1%. That's awesome. Let's look at the overall market first. The short term is that we are in a pullback. We've been in a pullback since, essentially right up here. It hit the upper resistance line. That's the line in the sand where if there's weakness, it could go down and it will go down hard. And of course it did. And the reason for that is probably twofold. There's some elections going on, some midterm elections going on. The New York mayor is now a progressive guy. And on that news, we got a nice spike upwards. So that uncertainty was resolved. But the uncertainty of the government shutdown rages on, and that's why we're getting this continued pullback. And it's possible it could continue until about Friday. At Friday, that's the decision point. Friday next week, is the end of the decision point where we're either going to break up out of this wedge or we're going to break down out of this wedge. Now, the reason why I think it's going to break up, we have some macro things to think about. The government shutdown is, of course, the big one. If the government's shut down, we're not going to resume our bull market. But flights are being canceled. Air traffic controllers are calling out sick a lot of the country because they're not getting paid. I would. And so this is going to start affecting rich people. When rich people get affected, Trump listens. And now we're going to reach an apex very soon, and it's got to be, looking at the chart, I would estimate next Friday to be the end of that decision point. If the government never reopens, that's like the 1% scenario where he just decides, you know what, I'm not negotiating at all. Then, Trump could decide we're in a bear market now. This is the decision point. But I think that's highly unlikely because of two other reasons. Very soon, we're going to have quantitative easing. Powell said at the last Fed meeting that quantitative tightening is essentially reaching an end. It's been in progress since 2022. Interest rates have been high, but interest rates are being cut now. The balance sheet is looking good. And then I think going into December's Fed meeting, we should have a nice catalyst to continue higher with December rate cuts. And I think that rate cut will only happen if the government reopens. So there's another reason why the government reopening is going to be a huge deal. And I think the decision point is still Friday based on the chart. So now, the third reason is that we're in a long-term established bull trend. There's no reason to be bearish. There's no reason to think that the AI bubble is bursting yet, because look at this uptrend has been in place since, the lines I have drawn is from August, but the uptrend has really been in place since April. And there's just no reason for it to be a bear trend just yet. So now what am I looking to do? So if we hit this support line, which we're really close to right now, it's a good buy opportunity. So now is a good buy opportunity. If we hit this orange support line, that's a load the boat situation. If we somehow get past this wedge and we're not finding support, that's when I start hedging. And I'll probably hedge even tighter, somewhere right in this range. But as we've seen before, no trend line is perfect. There's always a little spike below it. And so that's a nice time to buy. What do you buy? You buy what has relative strength. Look at ASST. I'm a long-term believer in Bitcoin going up, and I'm a long-term believer in holding stocks that are showing relative strength. And ASST is green, slightly green on a nice deep red day. Down here, I'm comparing, in this indicator, this shows real relative strength. This is showing green. That means that we're outperforming these two indices, Bitcoin to USD. So what's the Bitcoin price? And then IWM, which are small caps. So we're outperforming that, and we have been for a while. Now, what about SPY and QQQ? Outperforming SPY and QQQ almost all the time. A little bit of red when SPY was ripping upwards, and we were testing this this trend line that I have drawn on the 4 hour. But you know what? The trend line's holding, and as long as it's holding, I'm still in. If it does start to break and go kind of sideways, then I'll consider getting out. Like over here, I was in BCRX a while ago, and I got out right when it started breaking down. I got it before it started breaking down, and you could kind of see that. I guess earnings is the big reason why, but really everyone kind of knows what's going to happen with earnings. You see the upper trend line starting to break down. Well, that's an indication that it's going to flush downward, and so that's when I got out. And generally, it's bad to hold during earnings unless you're a gambler. So ASST is one of the green stocks during government shutdown. And I'm a big believer in Bitcoin going up. I mean, we reached a support level. 100K seems to be the line in the sand that people are not going to let it go below. Will 100K break? Maybe. But once the government shutdown ends, I don't think that there's any reason to think that it would break below 100 at that point. So let's see what happens. Roll the dice on when you think the government shutdown will reopen, but I predict Friday next week we'll see it reopen before then. Let's see what happens.